Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wrestle Watch podcast, your only home for free agency conversation in the world of professional wrestling. I'm Ryan, and I'm joined by the ever diligent Baker, Doug.
Yes. Listen, I'm not a Brit Baker,
No,
to be clear.
no,
If
because
I were
I've seen you on camera in the past year.
Absolutely. However, I am making some cinnamon rolls because we're recording this on a lovely Sunday morning, and
Yes.
what better thing to have on a Sunday morning is cinnamon rolls. So
I,
those are in the oven now, and I'm excited for that.
my perfect Sunday morning is listening to a vinyl.
Ooh.
Yeah, I usually
What
will put on something if I don't have this or a
what kind of setup you got?
I
What kind of vinyl setup? I mean, what's do you need, like, because here's the thing, I'm not exactly an audiophile. All
yeah.
right. So I when I think of vinyl, and I have friends who are very into vinyl, but I never really got it other than like, oh, I'm gonna have like the crackly noise.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess I get understand that there's something very appealing to that. Like
Yeah.
it's a nice noise, but I never understood the exact the 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 appeal beyond that.
Yeah, I just think that the quality of the recording sometimes is pretty nice. I like the tactile nature of listening to something that's actually real. So yeah, that's just how I feel about it, at least.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, so we do have a couple things to talk about today that are tactile in nature.
Yes. Yeah. So I
How's that for a
suppose
segue? How's that for a segue?
I mean, like, I think most people are tactile in nature at this point in time. We haven't yet got into pure energy beings yet.
Well, listen, this is the Wrestle Watch podcast, and as this podcast, we talk about, having a feel for things.
Oh,
Have,
yeah, yeah. I suppose that is an accurate way of doing that. Then yes,
yes,
yes.
we have a feel for where people are going to be going from different companies, jumping. It's a show about free agency. And, that is a tactile topic.
Well,
I'm sticking with it.
well, how about then, because you seem to be the expert on feelings right now, what would you like to start this week's podcast with talking about?
Let's see. Well, I think there's a couple ways we can go there. Because first of all, I think, just full disclosure to everyone listening, this was a week where we were kind of debating if we were going to do the show because we weren't really sure if there was a whole lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And then and we said, like, yeah, let's wait till like Saturday and see. And then yesterday we got all these WWID cuts and and things of the like. And obviously the big one is Wes Lee.
Yeah.
Let's just start with that. Let's just do that. That's
How about just because the yeah, let's start with that.
we could do. I mean, we could do the WWE cuts. It will include Santos Escobar. I think that's
Yeah, let's just start with Santos just to get him out of the way because
okay.
he's the big thumbnail. Let's start with the thumbnail.
Okay.
So Santos Escobar had what some can consider the shortest free agency of all time. Um, Last week he was reported that it was reported that his contract was running out. Um, and that some people were like, oh yeah, it's going to be soon, and then immediately afterwards, I think it was Mike Johnson with PW Insider was saying his contract runs out at midnight on Monday night. So he was technically a free agent for a very short amount of time. Tuesday, we then heard that he had re-signed with WWE. Reportedly, they offered him. Reportedly, it was that they took his ideas of what he wanted for creative, and then decided, what if we just offer you more money? And he said yes to the more money. So he got more money.
I mean, here's the thing. They did listen to his creative decision, so maybe they'll take that into account as well. But yeah, the key here is that he definitely got get the higher money. And this, once again, I think this is largely due to the fact that he had the leverage.
Yeah.
In a way, it's very different. It's similar, but it's also different from the Killer Cross situation, because he was out the door pretty like Santos was out the door. Um, he's someone who absolutely could have just moonwalked into any company. I mean, Tony Khan would have been out of his mind not to at least pick up the phone.
Are you talking about Santos with that?
We're talking about Santos, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I clarified. Yeah, Santos, was out the door, and he could have gone anywhere. I believe that, Tony Khan was probably all set to call this guy if he didn't try already. And because of that, he had that leverage that someone like Killer Cross attempted to do a similar thing, but he just didn't have the leverage because he didn't have the interest from outside companies. And you see what happens here when you have that. So I think it's also kind of similar to R-Truth in the sense that he had that leverage and then he came back. So now my question, though, looking at Santos, he's now re-signed.
Yeah.
Is this going to be a situation where he is going to suddenly get a push that he didn't really get before? Or is this going to be an R-Truth situation where he got his new contract and then he's just kind of back to where he was?
Well, I think that first off, I don't think that he had as much leverage as you're saying that he had on them. I mean, he had the leverage that he was open to just leaving entirely.
You don't think he's someone that other companies would happily bring in, though?
He's 41. He left CMLL to do AAA.
So you think there may be a partner promotion problem if AEW brought him in?
Yeah, and I don't know where he would slot in AEW. You can't put everybody in the Don Callis family.
Why not? I mean, so far they have.
Yeah, but they've also with somebody like Andrade, he's somebody that's acceptable to CMLL.
Yes.
Whereas
which is odd because he also kind of worked AAA a little bit, but maybe it's different.
No, he was already clean for CMLL before he went to WWE. He went back to Arena Mexico, whereas Santos Escobar left CMLL, did 6 years in AAA and Lucha Underground, then went to Impact, then went to WWE.
Yeah, but Andrade, while he was in AEW, he did pop up on Triple Mania.
And but that was before he went to CMLL again. So he's already been washed. He's clean.
Okay.
Andrade's clean.
You're right.
He's been laundered through the lucha laundering operation.
Yes.
Santos Escobar has not been. And he's 41.
He is 41.
So,
this is true.
Like, also, like, Andrade, as somebody, I believe that you are somebody that occasionally when you hear about a great match that happens in WWE, you might watch it.
Yes, I do. I want to be up on what the great matches are in the world of wrestling. I do that.
Okay. Have you heard of any, ones from Andrade over the last few years from WWE that you were like, okay, maybe I'll have to check that out?
Not really.
Even if you didn't see it.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I might have. Just none of them are really jumping out at me at the top of my head.
Are there any from Santos Escobar?
No.
Okay, so that is where I'm coming from with my opinion that I don't think that AEW was as interested as you might think he was. But I think that WWE thought that AEW would be interested. Because that was what was coming out from the WWE side. Notice that there were not AEW sources saying they were interested. It was WWE sources saying that AEW is probably interested in him.
So you think this might have been a panic signing in the sense that they figured this guy is someone that AEW can make something out of?
I think that when it got to the end of the day, that they looked at what was going on and they realized, okay, well, this guy could leave us. And what could happen with this? Okay, he could go to AEW and show that he was actually worth the money, and we weren't going to pay him that much anyway, relatively speaking, to other people on the roster. So, we need to re-sign this guy just in case he does show out in AEW, and then we all look a little bit silly at that point. the best of 7 with Mello was really good, says TC about Andrade, for the record. And
Okay.
yeah,
Was that during the speed title time frame?
I don't believe. I think it was like they were competing kind of to challenge for the U.S. title. If that is that right, TC? It was kind of like showing up to be the number one contender or like in the conversation.
I believe that I mean that sounds right. I
Um,
mean, and
and then TC says he used his leverage well. I don't think it's a coincidence that it gets put out there that, quote, oh, he might go to AEW, then maybe 24 hours later resigns.
yeah, and I'm sure that he, similar to Killer Cross, was helping put this stuff out there. Like Killer Cross obviously was like building up his own hype on his own.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I think that TC confirms that what I was saying about the nature of the Andrade Mello feud was what was going on, was that they were trying to prove themselves as the next U.S. champion.
okay.
Yeah, I think with Killer Cross is that it was a lot of him putting it out there, right? It was him
Mm-hmm.
pushing this narrative. Whereas with Santos, what was happening was he was very quiet. We didn't hear him
Yes.
anything about what he wanted to do with his free agency really at all from his perspective. We heard sources in WWE when it became obvious that he was probably going to leave within 24 hours saying, "Ah, yeah, he's going to go to AEW. That's what's going on." And then he resigned. So it's like a little bit they can act like it was a coup for WWE that they signed this free agent that he picked WWE even though he was a free agent for 24 hours or so, maybe less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's very clearly what happened here. Um, Good for him. Once again, this is someone, even if AEW wasn't interested in him, let's go with that. The fact that AEW exists and they have these competitions, it puts the fear in WWE, and that allows them to get these contracts.
Yeah.
Because once again, he can, if the competition didn't exist, if they had their monopoly still, uh they would tell him to kick rocks and walk away if they really weren't that going to use him.
Yeah.
So, and especially we'll see what happens with if this is an R-Truth situation, if he's just doing what he's doing before but getting more money. All right.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
So
hopeful for him.
I'm gonna let you queue up or continue talking, queue up to the next thing because I have to step off real quick.
Yeah, I'm hopeful with Santos Escobar that he'll actually have something more meaty to do now that he's re-signed. Of course, most of the people that have been free agent re-signing or free agent signings have returned to WWE or anything of that sort. Um, most of them have had like a contractually obligated kind of feeling title title reign happen. So I think that's possible with Santos. But we'll see what happens with him. But how about next we talk about then the latest round of WWE releases. There were a number of them that came through the wire on us recently. And I'm going to read off what we have here of a list of people that were cut so far confirmed. A lot of these names are WWE ID kinds of people, or they're the kinds of people that were just kind of hanging out in NXT in the locker room, but not necessarily showing up on TV that much, you know? So first off, let's go through the WWE ID kind of thing. Was that there was a number of people that didn't have their ID deals re-upped. One of the big ones was Kylie Ray, which she's currently pregnant. So I'm not super surprised that they were like, "Oh yeah, Kylie Ray, we're gonna, tell you, hey Kylie, you know, we're not gonna renew your WWE ID deal." So I'm not surprised about that. With that's the ID side of it. All the other ID ones, I'm
But
not
I mean,
surprised whatsoever that they let them
I
lapse.
I do think, yeah, I do think cutting Kylie Ray while she's pregnant.
Is a look.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a weird one.
Like I get it from if it's an endorsement deal essentially. Like Like, it's not really an employment contract for the ID. It's more of an endorsement deal in structure. I get why somebody in their talent relations or wherever department or accounting is like, why are we endorsing this person when they're going to be pregnant for the next year? Somebody probably thought that.
I'm sure.
Um,
I mean, it could I'll be honest though, it could also just be they decided to cut a bunch of people, and someone just put a giant list together,
yeah,
and nobody was looking.
yeah, yeah. They were just
Like,
kind of like, she hasn't been doing much lately.
yeah.
Why hasn't she?
hmm
You know?
Someone's got the cage match open and
Yeah,
looking at their matches. They haven't done anything since April.
yeah.
Goodbye.
Wow, this lady, she hasn't done something for surprisingly around 9 months. How's that happen?
Yeah. So I don't have anything specific to add to individual people.
Yeah.
However, I do have thoughts on WID in general,
Uh-huh.
or WWEID. So my quick question here.
Okay.
Right now we have the main roster.
I've heard of it.
Yes, that is the
That's the top
thing
of
you
the
want.
pyramid.
That's where you want to get.
That is the highest echelon in honor in all of wrestling. One lower, actually, than the WrestleMania moment itself.
Yes. Then we have NXT.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen that before. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Then we also have AAA, which maybe is on the same level of NXT.
I would say that AAA, the way that they deal with it with main roster talent, is actually in a kind of like half level of NXT.
Okay.
It's
So
not
similar.
main roster, but it's like considered within Mexico. The way that they're looking at it, WWE, is this is the main roster of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that it's still not the main roster, but it's above NXT.
Yeah, okay. Very good.
So like
Then
maybe you call it like you have like the major league, you have triple A ball, and then you have double A ball. And right now, TNA and NXT are double A ball.
Okay, so we'll put TNA and NXT on the same level.
Yeah.
Then we have Evolve.
Mm.
Evolve, I think, would be the single A.
Oh yeah, because those are the people that can't even start on the double A team, right?
Right. Then under that we have the LFG.
Yes, LFG is the I'm gonna say that is the summer college league.
That's the Frontier League.
It's like the what is that, like the Cuban league or whatever, you know? Like it's the summer college ball league. It's the ones where you're like, yeah, we got this prospect, we just got them in the draft. Are they gonna work out? Let's have them play ball for a few months and see what happens.
Okay, and then you had WWEID, where you have people going around to like the the tiny sub minor leagues that
in
like
WWE's view, yeah.
Yes, like you would, and just be like, oh, we're just gonna look at certain people that work in these weird places. So
Yeah.
that would be WWID. So is it possible? So first of all, I think it's pretty clear that we're maybe getting to the point where they realize that we have too many levels here.
I believe that they think that, yes. It's becoming hard to manage for them. In addition to the fact that they feel like that they have too much talent. So like it was reported by Sean Ross Sapp with this round of cuts. The phrasing that he was getting was that this wasn't a budget reason for the cuts. It was that there were too many people signed. Essentially.
Yeah. And I mean room for them all.
Yeah, they didn't have room for everybody.
And they tried to make room with these like fake promotions, like and stuff that nobody was watching. Because then when you take a look at Evolve,
yeah,
nobody's watching that. So if WWEID is gone, the next one potentially on the chopping block would be Evolve,
which I believe doesn't have anything in the can right now taped.
Exactly, even though they have this Tubi deal. And you have TNA, saying that they're gonna have a deal soon. They've been
Look,
kind of working with WWE.
I mean, it's vaporware at this point, in my opinion, because like they
Yeah.
were like, oh yeah, by the end of 2025 we'll have a deal, and then now it's 2026 we'll have a deal. It's like, okay, cool. Nobody wants to sign you. It sounds like.
Okay. So my question, by let's say by February, let's give it
Okay,
like a little bit into 2026.
okay.
Will Evolve still be on Tubi, whether it exists or not? Will it still be there? Can you watch Evolve on Tubi?
Let's just see when Evolve started as a program. Even.
I mean, that'll be hard to figure out because you also got, the OG Gabe.
Ah, here we go. We got it. We found it. It started airing March of 2025. I think it's possible that in March of 2025 it is not airing.
Okay. So, and do you think at this point the most likely landing spot for TNA is maybe sliding into that Tubi spot?
I think it's definitely possible. I don't think that it's the ideal location for them. I don't think that that is an upgrade necessarily from what they're doing right now, because what they're doing right now is you can watch us on Access, or you can subscribe to us essentially and stream directly from us. I mean, like, it is cheaper to be on Tubi because Tubi is free for
Mm-hmm.
consumers. However, I don't think it's necessarily going to extremely broaden their reach to be on Tubi versus being on an actual network, an actual cable channel.
But they might get more money.
I don't know if they would, because Tubi is an ad revenue solely operation. And the amount of people like I believe like the CW has a broader customer base by being available in every market than Tubi does by being a thing that you have to download.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if they were to get an offer from the CW where they're like, "Hey, we've been really enjoying NXT. It's the number one show on our network. We want another NXT. What do you got, WWE?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we have their sister promotion, TNA." And I think that CW would be down for that. Put them on Thursdays, just make it Tuesday, Thursday with NXT and TNA. Like,
Oh,
I think
you
that
don't think
that's
it'd
like
be on Wednesday? You don't think it'd be on Wednesday?
I don't think that the CW would have the appetite for that. And I think that that's where WWE is running into a wall, is a lot of their partners now are saying we don't have the appetite for that stuff. Like ESPN, for example, they were miffed that WWE were just using their first show together as a counter programming ploy, and that they didn't deliver a good show, partially because of it, and that the subscriber numbers that they were expecting from that show were pretty low. What
Well,
was the
we don't know
actuality?
that.
Reportedly, it was like 40,000 people subscribed just for the show. Was
Oh,
like
I
what
see.
they were.
I missed that. The one thing I did notice that, like, ESPN was touting everything else that was going on around on their service, but they didn't talk about WrestlePalooza. So I
Think
didn't
that
see the numbers though.
I think that So two things. One, the commercial with John Cena where he's like talking about all the things that you could find on ESPN Unlimited. That commercial was made before WWE was supposed to be on ESPN Unlimited.
Hmm.
So they obviously had the deal already figured out a few months ago, but because of WWE essentially cheating Peacock out of another 6 months, that commercial was produced before that was figured out, so it couldn't be in the commercial,
Hmm.
right? So
Right.
even if they wanted to put them in the commercial, they couldn't. But post facto of WrestlePalooza, we have not seen a single press release saying, "Wow, look at the viewership of WrestlePalooza."
You
We
know,
we didn't we didn't get one.
and I want to speak on this really quickly, just a quick sidebar, because I don't think we've talked about it yet, but the Wrestle Kingdom ticket sales. Have you
Very
seen
strong.
this?
Very strong.
Very, very strong, because obviously everyone's very excited for.
They want to see that old man with no knees retire.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And perhaps the debut of Aaron Wolf. Maybe he's a
Hopefully,
contributor.
hopefully not in that match together.
Yes. Right.
I would say
But
that Aaron Wolf, if he gets a match with like I don't know, like Gabe Kidd, that would be a good first match, you know.
yes.
And I think Gabe is somebody that like right now is positioned in New Japan as somebody that could take a pin.
So, and here's the thing though. So we're seeing a lot of hype for that.
Yeah.
And right now we're looking at the numbers that WWE is doing with this big Cena retirement run.
Yeah.
Tanahashi hasn't necessarily popped a whole bunch of numbers for his retirement run either, but maybe Cena has, and I'm kind of curious to see what happens. We said we saw these disappointing numbers. This is with like, this Cena farewell tour.
Well,
what do these WWE numbers look like when they don't no longer have this Cena farewell tour?
Yeah, so with Tanahashi, I would say that part of it is that almost all of his retirement run has been in Japan proper. So they're doing the same loops that they always do throughout the year. They're doing their Osaka loop, all those kinds of loops. So Nagoya, like they're hitting up the usual markets.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
When they did do international events, the Windy City Riot show didn't do hot, but I think
it did well. Let me pull up the number. Hang on.
But then you could say that Tanahashi sold out the O2 in London.
Yeah.
One could say that.
Okay, so
just like Jay White says that he alone sold out at Madison Square Garden.
Okay, Windy City Riot. That show that drew 4,600 in Chicago. So the New Japan show, New Japan only, selling out 4,600 in Chicago. I would say that's a good draw, especially in 2025 compared to what AEW would be doing on a random show.
Let's see if we can get a comparison though. Last year they did over 5,000.
Yeah, it's down a little for sure. Down. But I feel like everything is down. Like, I mean, with the exception of WWE during that early part of the year where they were still like really doing well and before they kind of softened. And you could argue that WWE being up kind of had a trickle down impact on everything else, but I don't think that that's a negligible drop. And also, what was the main event of that Windy City Riot 2024? Because I feel like that was a bigger show.
Was that the Mox Naito match?
I think that was the Mox title win.
Yeah.
So that might be a little different too.
Yeah, so but with the Cena run, I think partially it's that the tickets prices are just way too high for WWE right now. I think that if the prices were a little bit lower, they'd still be looked at as being hot.
Mm-hmm.
But like they're just looking at the bottom line, not like the crowds that they're getting. And they're like, we're happy with the amount of money we're getting from these crowds. We're not going to change our policies now. And more people are realizing they have to wait until the last day before a show for WWE to buy a ticket because they will drop 50% in price from the on sale to the last week.
People are getting smart. They're getting smart.
But
it's taking a while.
Yes,
but they're figuring it out.
With WWEID in particular, I think that the vibe is with the reorganization possibly of how WWE has organized their pyramid. I think that it is possible within the next few months that we'll see TNA maybe slot in on TV, either on the CW or on Tubi. I think that the WWEID program feels kind of dead. Right now, we'll see what happens at Mania weekend if they do another WWEID showcase show with GCW.
And not only that, we have people who are in WWID in similar levels, not even necessarily getting cut, but just like not
They're
agreeing to resign.
Yeah, we've had some of them that just said like I don't want this contract again. I think Zeta Steel was one of those.
Yeah, and Zeta Steele's a great talent. Like
Yes.
she's always been. So like I feel like she is gonna land perfectly fine wherever she goes. But yeah, there's a number of people who are just, this is not worth it for me. And we've talked a little bit about this already, but
Zara Zakar is another one. She had done shows in TJPW.
yeah.
So not surprised that she had her contract expire and just, Zeta Steel said that she didn't renew. She's the only one that I think that is like a very notable that just said no.
Yeah. So then the only other one from the cuts that I think is maybe particularly notable is Wes Lee.
Yeah. We had also Lance Anoa'i get cut, which was interesting, but he's been injured, which also makes
Yeah.
it even more interesting. He's another one of the bloodline folks. Stevie Turner had a funny Twitter post where she said, "Finally, I get to wrestle again." Uh, and then yes, Wes Lee, who that's very interesting, and I think that gets to the kind of person that I've been thinking about recently, when looking at main roster people or with the kinds of people that people are like, oh yeah, they're gonna get pushed up to the main roster coming up here. It's that's somebody that WWE is definitely looking at in NXT and saying we're gonna bring them up to main roster, and I'm like, no, they're not. They're not. They don't know what to do with this person on the main roster, right? Like
Yeah.
look at what's Carmelo Hayes really been doing. He's been tagging with the Miz, and some people I think kind of are like fantasy booking him to become US champion more so than his reality on the screen.
Yeah. I think it's okay. When we're looking at Wes Lee,
Yeah.
he feels like almost a lock to just end up back in TNA.
I think that's possible. However, some people pointed out that the rest of the Rascals contracts are supposed to be running out soon.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Would a Rascals trio be a group that would have leverage as like if as a trio?
As a trio, yes.
Yeah. I think so too. Um I do think there are some caveats to that. I think there's some issues. Um a lot of them personal. Obviously, Zach Wentz had some issues in the past. Um just in terms of his relationship with his former girlfriend. I'm not going to mention her name just because she's out of the wrestling business now. Um, and also Trey has had some less than good social media interactions with people. He also used to date MJF's current wife. And they had I think they had, I don't want to say it. I don't know how that relationship ended, but they, there was there's been some messiness with that group.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly Zach Wentz, because he got cut from WWE for a social media thing, first time.
Yes, although that's now something that gets you hired by ICE.
Yeah,
Why you
apparently.
got yeah. But I think that still that them as a unit, all four now of them with Myron Reed also, I think that they have more leverage together than they do apart. Although I think that Wes Lee has more leverage than any of the other ones would have solo. Does that make sense?
I think I'd
Like
agree.
I don't think that he necessarily has more leverage than if he's with the group. I think it's probably like equal leverage.
I thought maybe 5 years ago, I might disagree with you about and say Myron Reed has a lot of potential, but it feels like he's just kind of not really broken out in the way that I thought he was going to. Maybe
Mhm.
that was COVID related, but he's a solid guy. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I agree. I think that as a group, they make the most sense. And would AEW be interested in them as a group? I think so. Obviously, they also did work together in They were, what was that group in MLW that they were part of, or at least Myron Reed was.
Oh, you're talking about Myron Reed then? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
um
Was that? It was like a weird, like a militarist group. Do you remember what I'm talking
I don't recall that. No,
about? Okay.
unfortunately.
I felt like it was almost
In
like an
Injustice.
yeah, it was like an Antifa type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but it's so they've been around, and then they're gonna land somewhere, especially as if they decide to do it as a group. And I think that's smart. Kind of do what the Elite did, where they're like, hey, we're just gonna be a package deal.
Mhm.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and maybe the fact that Wes Lee left WWE or got released shows
Yeah.
that WWE is not going to be one of those places that's going to be interested in them as a group, and it'll be somewhere else. We know that they have options. I think they have some options, even if it's not AEW.
Yeah, so to go through the course of Wesley's career, he started off on the indies, kind of in the Northeast circuit of things. He did CZW for some time. He then went to Impact Wrestling in 2017, where he stayed until 2020 when he went to WWE. In the intermediary time, he did some bouts in Dragon Gate and Lucha Underground as well.
I gave him a ride in my car, like in 2018.
That's
to the hotel.
That's the biggest news there.
Yeah.
2023, he was actually in the PWI 500's top 100 at number 66. Has not appeared in the. It doesn't look like he's had a high ranking otherwise since then. But I think that he's somebody that was a surprising cut to some people. I don't know if I agree with that. It's not because I think that he is not talented. I think that Wes Lee is quite talented. And I think that he's the kind of guy that people were hoping for something more from with WWE's presentation of him. But I think that for guys that wrestle like he does, or have the same kind of build that he has and things like that, there is a little bit of a ceiling in WWE because they don't understand what to do with you at the main roster.
Yeah, he's a textbook case of a really talented guy that's not quite as tall as they like, not quite as, big as they like, who does a lot of very impressive things that they just don't see as a top guy main roster act.
Yeah. So
and there's a lot of people in that company that are that specifically ones that did extremely well during that black and gold NXT era.
Yes.
And then they just did not. I mean, Gargano's obviously
he feels very similar to Gargano.
Yeah.
I feel like in recent times you could look at Carmelo Hayes and how he's been used on the main roster. They're starting to. I mean, I guess like the Miz collaboration is kind of working because at least he's being on TV with somebody that's going to be on TV. But like you look at like I don't know, like Javon Evans, it's kind of like people have been saying, oh yeah, he's gonna win the NXT title for so long, and it's just not happening, and it's like if you can't even get him to getting to that level, then like there's no chance in hell that Triple H is going to look at him on the main roster and be like, this is the guy,
Yeah.
And I'm already like worried about Obafemi if he goes to main roster. I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna figure out what to do with him. There was a period when they didn't know what to do with Jacob Fatu. It's like, look at him. It's easy.
Yeah.
He is the easiest guy to book. Like he talks, he does really good matches. Like he's in the bloodline. You're done. That's all you need, right? Like to get over in WWE. That last part was enough, I thought. Like Tama Tonga came back. That was a big pop. I don't know if you saw Tama Tonga came back. That was what Shinsuke Nakamura was brought up this week as a possibility for us to discuss next week on the podcast as somebody, like, like he came back, so maybe he shouldn't be in unlikely tier. The thing with that though is what did he do when he got back? He was in a match with Sami Zayn, okay, right? And he gets attacked by Tama Tonga, who is the surprise reveal. So Shinsuke Nakamura makes his triumphant return, gets his entrance, gets his old music back and everything, as the kids like to point out, you know? And then what does he get? Gets a match where he is then attacked and for a bigger surprise to happen over top of him.
Imagine if you told like someone in like 2016, like right after, like let's say Wrestle Kingdom,
yes,
the day after Wrestle Kingdom 10.
Yeah.
Right after like the Shinsuke Nakamura AJ match, where right before they both leave, and you're saying you show them like that segment.
Yeah, you see, this is Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah. He's one of the greatest in the world right now. You know that guy from the first match, the 8-man tag? Yeah, he's like with Prince Devitt. What the hell's going on with? Wait, no, Devitt's gone. AJ Styles now is leader. I don't care about that guy. He's just like a B team Bullet Club guy. Well, here, watch this.
Yeah, it's really wild, and that's wrestling. You never know who's gonna go where, but it is kind of funny that that's a really funny trajectory.
It is a crazy world we live in with that trajectory. Also, AJ Styles, I don't know if you heard, he got announced as the ace and undisputed boss of the Bullet Club for his ring announcement.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Against Cena.
Yeah, he also referenced moves by Samoa Joe, Sting, Christopher Daniels, Adam Page. It was interesting. It was an interesting match.
I mean, once again, we said it before. The fact that he resigned for 1 year is very odd.
And the fact that he says that he plans to retire next year, but he's not sure if it's going to happen at WrestleMania or in WWE yet, but that's what he wants.
Yeah. We'll see.
I feel like if that's what he wants, then WWE probably would have given it to him with the renewal. But is there anything else that you wanted to say about the WWE releases on this one, other than Wes Lee? I think that he's somebody that next week we're going to probably be voting on to think about, as the die starts getting cast here, what's going to happen.
I think we've covered everything we need to talk about with the world of WWE releases at the moment.
Okay, how about somebody that was a release previously on WrestleWatch? Somebody that you think you can get a lot of discourse out of.
Oh, always.
Okay. I Spy Dakota Kai.
I Dakota Kai.
I Dakota Kai Spy. I Kai. Anyway, what do you think about her? What do you think is going on with Dakota Kai? We've heard for a while, specifically Sean Ross Sapp putting it out there. I think that she'll end up in Japan, and then nothing happens. She's just sitting in Florida streaming.
She's just it's very tiring at this point with her, because it's like you can kind of see like in the clips from her talking on streaming that I don't know that she necessarily has her heart in this anymore.
Yeah. That's
the vibe I get, where it's just like she doesn't seem like someone who just really, really wants to wrestle.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. I don't know what she's making with streaming. Maybe it really is a thing where she just doesn't need to do it. Yeah. And when you don't need to do it, you don't have that strong desire. So for me, we had her at like a probable jump. Like we thought that she was either going to end up in AEW, or we felt that she was a notable enough talent that we could see her going, somewhere in Japan, whether it's Stardom. Maybe she was going to go hang out with Rossi, who is now paying, has to pay to get Io Shirai or Io Sky over to Marigold.
He had to pay anyway the entire time. So like that's what, to give context on that, he was like asked about why don't you use WWE talent more in an interview, and he said that you have to pay for that. You know, like you have to pay both for their day rate and you have to pay for the travel, obviously. Like, at least the travel was the obvious part, but like if they're a partner promotion, you would think they might not necessarily have to pay for the day rate. But that's why it's only been EO in
Yeah.
Marigold and only twice now.
Yeah. So sorry for that segue, but whenever I have a chance to, knock on Rossi, you got to take it.
It's okay. He's
Um,
gonna get Suri pretty soon, right? So
yeah.
that's all fine. She got her she got that trios tag match that she wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yeah, this is true.
She got
So
she got put on the New Japan card.
yeah, that which good for that man. That match. Listen, I love whenever they wrestle. So
Oh yeah, we're talking
that's
about
ten.
Shuri versus Sari is going to be the opening match of King of Pro Wrestling, which, I mean,
That's which
placement.
airs in like 15 hours, I believe.
Yeah, it will be at 3 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Central, coming up here tonight. That's going to be an interesting card. We can talk about that more after we could talk about Dakota Kai.
hmm Well, and here's all I have to say about Dakota Kai. At this point, I'm seeing less and less evidence that she's jumping anywhere anytime soon. It's just
Yeah,
people just saying stuff. So I don't even think that she needs to be as high up on our tracker as she is, where we have her at probable. I want to
correct.
drop her down to a toss up.
I think I would possibly even bring her down to possible. Um, I mean, I think that the situation is not seeming like it's going in that direction. It might be that she's just being quiet. But it doesn't seem like that it's going in that direction, especially when you already have B Priestley showing up in Stardom and doing the 5-star Grand Prix already. Like, and
Yeah.
like we already have somebody that's left, gone back to Stardom. That's a quote unquote Westerner. Or Gaijin is the easier way of putting that.
I just think that if it was going to happen with her, the longer it takes for her to debut, the less likely it's even going to happen.
Yeah, and I think that also if she was going to end up in AEW, I think that the position of the women's division right now opens up plenty of opportunity for her to have debuted by now.
hmm
Um, Look at last week in Jacksonville, or this past week in Jacksonville, where Mercedes Moné had her open challenge thing. They could have constructed that any which way they wanted to debut anybody they wanted to. They went with Lacey Lane, who I don't know if I would. I would probably say that she's somebody that we should move up again, from remote, on our tracker. But I think that still there's stuff to be figured out about what's going on with their feeling about Lacey Lane. Whereas obviously with Dakota Kai, doesn't seem like they're that interested. If they wanted to debut her, that was like anybody. If they wanted to debut anybody that they could have debuted, that was the moment to do it, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
So I think that
Yeah,
that that
absolutely.
says that says a lot to me about what they're thinking about with Dakota Kai, with Isla Dawn, with Priscilla Kelly, with Shayna Baszler, with any of these other free agent women that came from WWE. I think that it's kind of showing that it's a lot less likely that they're going to be ending up in AEW than we thought.
Yeah, and I think, and that's something I never really thought about too. The comparison to that match, and just like, oh yeah, that would have been a perfect spot for Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
So even more so, more evidence that she's, if she's coming, it's a lot less likely that she'd be coming in now.
Yeah. So I'm fine with just leaving her one spot down,
Okay.
honestly. But we'll see later
Yeah.
what's going on. And then how about we just hit on that Isla Dawn then? I think that that's a similar kind of situation. Although they did bring her over to do some work with Grizzled Young Veterans, which
hmm
I think is interesting. So I wouldn't be I would be fine with keeping her where she is, honestly. I could see a case for bringing her up to toss up even, but I think that kind of toss up probable area is where I would put her.
I think keeping her at remote is all right, unless we hear otherwise.
Isla Dawn is currently I'm sorry, we talk about Isla Dawn. She's currently at possible.
Oh, sorry. Um, is she possible? Yeah. Okay. Well, is it
We'll see
possible?
where she. Yeah, so let's go through the entire tracker
Let
as it stands now. No, you're thinking about Lacey Lane. Oh no, she was remote. Yes, you're right. I'm looking now at the new tracker, which we can go through right now. Hmm. Well, let's see as we go down. Inserted is Joe Hendry. I think that that is still the most certain person. I think that there are some other people I would say are certain, though. In likely, we have Ninja Mac, Zosiah, Mike DeVicchio, Adam Priest, and Michael Oku. I think the middle three of those should probably all be certain at this point. But um, in it's working, I think. In probable, we have Danhausen and Chris Jericho. In toss-up, we have the British wrestler Riho. We have a Britt Baker, Private Party, Sari, and Dakota Kai is out down one tier to toss-up. In possible, we have Priscilla Kelly, Shayna Baszler, and now Isla Dawn. I'm sorry I revealed that too early to you. She was moved up. Yeah, yeah. With the unlikely tier, we have Gabe Kidd, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bailey, Bozilla, and Miyu Yamashita. In remote, we have Karrion Kross, Leon Slater, Saraya, The Miz, Maki Ito, Dragon Lee, Tetsuya Naito, AJ Styles, and Lacey Lane. Anybody that you wanted to talk about more in depth of all those? Mm-hmm. I think that that's somebody that could possibly stick around. So, not to be too reviews based, but did you feel like it was a good match?
It was. It didn't. It was a. It wasn't a bad match, but it wasn't exactly a. It didn't set the world on fire.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably never gonna think about that match ever again.
Yeah, I think that it was a fine enough debut. Uh, if they want to make something more out of it, they could. I think the thing to make more out of that is possibly her being a good tag team division depth pickup.
Mm-hmm.
That's my kind of take on the situation. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if she hangs around in ROH though. Um, but yeah, that's where I feel like about it. I feel like that I could see an argument within the tracker conversation of moving her up. Um, I'm not super confident though that it's going to lead to anything permanent.
Yeah, I can
Uh,
see that.
I think we were touched on the New Japan show coming up tomorrow. I think there are some things there that are interesting just in wrestling. Of course, we have title match between Zack Sabre Jr. and Konosuke Takeshita. The first match is Suri versus Shuri. I think that it's going to be a good show, and I think it's probably New Japan's strongest card in a while.
Yeah, the fun thing about King of Pro Wrestling is always just, after that show, you really get a good feel for what the directions of Wrestle Kingdom are going to be.
Yeah,
So I'm excited for that. Is Konosuke Takeshita winning the title tonight?
I think so.
I think so too.
It's not that I don't think. I think that Zack was put up to be transitional champ a little bit. And I think that they wouldn't mind Takeshita having the belt.
No, I think, and here's the thing: they have to do something different. I like
Yeah.
Zach, but they got to go. They got to try something else. And even if it is, bringing in the part timer
Yeah.
to win their title, which, granted, that in of itself is not a good thing. But New Japan's not exactly in the best position right now, so you got to try something different.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, what else do we have here? We have one hot take today.
Okay.
Got one hot take. It is. Oh wait, we have two hot takes. Um, I think in 2026 we will see Bobby Lashley as world champion simultaneously with Shelton Benjamin as TNT champion.
That's a very hot take.
Okay.
I don't know. I still think that they're kind of just like, I don't think they're gonna put a belt on them again.
Yeah.
I think that they're the least. I mean, I think they're okay with Shelton. Shelton seemed to be okay losing. He lost a couple times in the C2,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they're want to go back to putting belts on people who have egos.
And then the other hot take is with regards to Danny Garcia. In the Death Riders, he is giving potential main eventer or faction leader energy.
I think it's too early to tell on that one. I think it was a necessary move for him. He needed this change up because he couldn't even get away from the dancing thing.
Mm.
And now this has allowed him to do that, which is going to be helpful because he didn't need to be. That was becoming his Roderick Strong screaming at him, which isn't he still does that. He still does the screaming thing. He needs to stop doing that, but he needs to if he wants to branch out and not be just a gimmick, he needs to stop feeding into those things. And I think Daniel Garcia finally did, and that's good because he's got obviously a much higher upside than Roderick Strong does at this point in 2025.
Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss on this week's episode of the Wrestle Watch podcast?
Not really. I think we'll talk more about Takeshita next week.
Yes, that could be an interesting thing next week, is if he gets the IWGP Heavyweight title. I think also next week we will probably give another look at Shinsuke Nakamura, possibly Adam Priest, just to see how we're feeling about those two. I think
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that there's an argument with Shinsuke of, well, they brought him back, but then I think there's a counter argument of they brought him back to look silly.
They did.
So, I think
they'd never do that.
And they did it in Australia, so it's like, okay, cool. So we're about to go to Japan. Let's bring Knock back.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you haven't already subscribed to us here on YouTube or on your podcast catcher of choice, if that's where you're listening to it right now, then right here on your podcast catcher, please make sure to subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening to us on. If you could like or leave a comment, also that helps the old algorithm as well. I have nothing else to say except I love Nor'easters and I hate anybody that dislikes them. I hate them.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
I think we're leaving it. We're going to leave it at that. I got nothing. I got nothing to add on that. Right. So with that, I'm Doug,
and I'm Ryan. Stay safe out there.